everybody, what's going on? Today we're going to pull this door out and put drywall in its place. It's kind of a redundant door, it never has been used. There's another entry door into the garage through the utility room, so there is absolutely no sense in it staying here. Unfortunately it's been kind of sealed shut, so we're going to have a difficult time getting it open, but there's nothing that can't be done. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Deerdorf and this is Detroit DIY. Let's get started. Alright, so because this door is so stuck shut, what we're going to do is pull these hinge pins and push it in from the outside. So to get these out, we're just going to use the hammer. Can you see that? We're just going to use the hammer and a punch of the sort underneath and pull these pins. They have a nice little lip on them. There we have it. So now just a good push from the outside and she'll pop out.
Everybody put your fucking hands up.
Alright. What is that? Just cut off? Brilliant. Alright, here you might as well just take that out there. You got enough room to...
How heavy is it?
Alright, the handy dandy multi-tool. We're going to get this strip off.
It's caught.
Maybe. Alright, so here we need to pull all this insulation out of here so that we can find any fasteners that may be holding the door frame in place or the jamb on this side. And then the same thing on the other side. So like here's our first nail right here. We'll just be cutting that off with the reciprocating saw. We'll be cutting that nail off. And then on the other side, typically 2 of these hinge screws are going to be holding this jamb in place on this side. So once we get all them out and get these nails cut, we will be getting this door jamb out of here. We have the door frame out. It popped out of there pretty easy. It was not installed very well at all. Probably most of the problems. The other thing that we discovered is the wall is not very secure to the floor, and we will also be taking care of that and getting that all squared away. So a little bit more than we had thought, but we're going to get it done. We've got our 2x4s cut and we're getting these attached right now inside the frame, and then we're going to put one down below. We're going to caulk it down here on the sill before we put this one in. Then we're going to use some tap cons to hold it in place, and we'll secure it to this one, and hopefully we're going to tighten this wall up. We've already tightened it up some by this 2x4 being nice and snug, but that'll finish that up. And then we have this one that's going up top. So we're basically just going to screw these into place. So let's get a couple screws in it. We've got it lined up real nice so that our drywall will sit flush. Pull them in there nice. That's it. Just going to screw in this in and then we'll be good. What we're going to do is just put some 100% silicone right down here on the floor. We're also going to go along the bottom of this wall and get that sealed up, and maybe cracks along through here and get everything sealed up real nice. So we're going to start right here and we're going to get the sill plate in. We're going to be real generous with it. Want to make sure we get a real good seal, especially through this area where this crack is. This will also help adhere that to the floor. Alright, a little extra back here. Alright, now we're just going to sink this down in it. Just like that. I'm going to put a couple of screws in on an angle. Lock this all together real nice. There we go. Alright, now we're just going to do the same thing and caulk through here a little bit and up top, and then we'll finish building this. Probably just one stud in here is going to do us, and we'll get it put together. What we're going to use is a Tapcon bit, a 3/16 Tapcon bit for these 3/16 Tapcons. It's actually a 5/32. You can get them under the brand name of Tapcon. They work really good when you're using the SDS type drive in a Bulldog. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put 3 in here, enough to secure this in place. I'm going to put 2 on the front side and 1 on the back side in the center. Alright. Then what we're going to do is vacuum them out a little bit and just screw our Tapcons in. We're getting ready to cut our insulation. As you can see, Tony's got the level on there, and you kind of want to smash it flat and then just run the razor knife right along the edge of the level, and you will pretty much cut clean through it one swipe, just like that. Real nice and easy. Now what you want to do is measure your opening. We already have one piece in. Measure your opening and cut your insulation 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches longer than your opening, so that when you put it in, you have room to pull some of the paper loose from the facing and staple it up here at the top and also at the bottom. If there's too much down there, Tony, we can just cut it off.
Goodbye.
We're going to cut the drywall to length first. I've already got it marked out. And we're just gonna score the outside paper, the face paper, with the razor knife. It just requires a light score. It doesn't have to be perfect on your line. And that's all we need. Now we're going to sand it up. And we're just going to give it a bump. Maybe. Like so. And then just cut the back paper. This is 5/8 drywall, so it's a little tougher to snap. Now we're going to do the same thing to cut it to width. Tony's getting the drywall screws in. When you're putting the screws in, it's very important that you don't break the paper. You just want to sink the screw down in, but not break the paper. Otherwise your drywall will lose its strength. And that is especially true on the ceiling. Not so much on a wall, but you still don't want to break the paper. Right now we're getting ready to tape this. When I'm taping, I like my mud to be pretty thick. And we're not going to get super carried away with the amount that we're putting on here, but we are going to put enough on for the tape to stick. Then once we get the tape on, we'll go back over and run over it again. And push it all flat. I love using this 6-inch taping knife. It's my primary knife. I'll use it start to finish. So we're just going to get our tape started down here, get it stuck on, and just kind of run it up the seam. Putty knife in hand, stay nice and straight over your seam. Get up here, cut it. Now just lay it into place. If anywhere it doesn't want to stick, force a little bit of mud underneath of it. Put a great deal of pressure. If you can see how much the knife is bending while I'm doing this, you want a great deal of pressure. Get all that mud that's stuck under there potentially out. You just want to glue that paper down. You can see how much I've pulled out. Oops. So there we go. Now we want to go back over this. Scrape any of this bumpy stuff out of the way. Anywhere where it's a little ripply, can you see that in the camera or no? Mm-hmm. Take the time and force those ripples out. Just like that. Get that tape on there tight. Then before you try to put any more mud on it, you have to let that dry. We're going to finish this and finish this. The same thing with these screws in the middle. Just get a nice light coat on them, no extra mess. we will come back over that and hit that again. But for right now, that's all we want. Nothing extra, no mess. There we go. All right, we're gonna get these other two sides taped and go from there. The tape coat is dried overnight and we're ready to go. I just like to kind of take my 6-inch putty knife and scrape off any high spots or any bumps that are here in the mud before I get started putting the next coat on. This coat, we'll get a closer look in a minute, but this coat I like to put on a lot thinner. And as far as my mud's concerned, like a loosely mixed peanut butter. And kind of get some on there to get started. I'll go back over this a couple of times. Not necessarily with more coats, but we're going to hit it the other direction. I just want to get some material on. And then we'll go back over it this direction and run this out a little bit, keeping it as smooth as possible. Very little sanding is what we're looking for. In the beginning, the putty knife will leave lines where it's contacted, but we'll go back over that in a few minutes here once it starts to set up just a little bit, and we can put a great deal of pressure on this. And make sure we pull some off this way too. The more pressure you put, the tighter it'll push it down, and the smoother you can get it. But you can't do that right out of the gate. You have to give it a few minutes. So I'm starting to see it turn white along the edges right here. So now's the time for me to go back over this and put a little pressure on it and just flatten it off. So I'm going to get this excess off of my putty knife. And I'm just going to come over this one more time. Now I'm going to put some pressure on it. And in doing so, I'll be able to knock these lines right out of this. This is what I mean by the little lines that are left behind. And if you wait for the compound just to firm up a little bit and you start troweling it, you can wind up with a very smooth finish, but you have to put a great deal of pressure so you can see how much my knife is bending, and I want to lay it down, not stand it up. I want to lay it down, and I'm just gonna pull it across there and do that multiple times until that line just disappears. You keep going over it, you can make those lines completely gone. Alright, I'm gonna get this smoothed out and we'll be back. The first coat's not completely dry, but it's good enough to get the second coat on. And what we're going to do this time is pull it this way. And basically we just, like before, we want to get some material on first. As you can see, I've mixed it up just a little bit creamier this time, a little bit looser. I'm not worried about the lines right now. Same thing, I'll go back and take care of some of them as we go. Don't be afraid to run the patch out nice and wide. We're going to keep laying this on. We still have a little low issue right here, which you may run into. Your drywalls might not line up perfect, but there's no reason that it can't be blended. So we'll get a little heavier material in through here, and we'll get this all blended up nice. We've got what we hope is one of our final coats going on. I've decided to just go a light coat over the top of the whole thing because of the low areas that we had through here. And what we're doing now is it's a creamier mix. As you can see, not real heavy, a nice creamy mix. And we're just applying some on there and then scraping it down to the thickness that we want. And just getting a nice blend, no lines. Push the air bubbles out. And hopefully we get this low area right here filled in really nice all the way across the board. This is what we're looking for. We got some sanding going on here. All in all, we're blending in pretty good. There's no real big issues going on. Still a little bit of curvature that we got to take care of and get flattened out just a little bit better. But this project is coming along very nice. What we're doing is trying to get us hopefully a final skim coat on here, just to cover up any little imperfections. We've mixed it up pretty thin, and we'll keep it thin. And like I say, just lay the knife down to apply. Stand it up to remove it. Don't be afraid to put a little pressure. You can basically, this skim coat goes on so thin you can get it on with basically 0 lines in it. There'll be so little sanding to clean this up that it'll be perfect. We'll come back and show you the finished product. Alright guys, that's a wrap. When I'm sanding, I like using this longer sanding board. It'll get the surface flatter and it'll help you better feel what's going on. Another pro tip, when you paint this, it's going to be really smooth looking. Use a real nappy roller so that it leaves little puckers on it that'll better match the existing wall. That's all we got for this video. If you enjoyed yourself, click on one of those 2 videos that are going to pop up right there, and we'll see you soon.